Hello. Welcome to Rise and Bust. In today's episode, we will see another rise and bust story. We will analyze how it rose to glitter success, and then we will understand the mistakes that led to its downfall. And just to let you know, we post well-analyzed and real rise and fall stories. Stories of companies and people that once ruled the world, but then busted for small mistakes or series of mistakes. If you are interested in similar stories, then do not forget to hit the subscribe button. Now relax and enjoy the story, and let us know in the comments what you learned today.
Individuals with over 30 years of experience in radio hobbies, such as ham, CB, SWL, and scanner, might recall the places they once visited to feed their enthusiasm. These included Lafayette, which closed in the early 80s, and Radio Shack, which offered a diverse selection of electronic items, test gear, and accessories for the hobbyist. Radio Shack originally supplied surplus electronics and equipment for experimentation. They carried many parts, test equipment, hi-fi audio electronic technicians' tools, communications receivers, transmitters, accessories, and antennas. It was a comprehensive solution for all radio hobby needs. However, over time, the company veered off course. This prompts us to examine Radio Shack's evolution and ponder if the 20th century company will endure in the 21st century. Chapter 1. The first 40 years. Radio hobbyists weren't a majority of the general population, but this type of store was reasonably demanded during the early 1920s. In 1921, two immigrant brothers, Theodore and Milton Deutschman, opened a mail-order operation and one-store retail called Radio Shack. It was located in the heart of Boston, Massachusetts, and aimed to supply all equipment for amateur radio enthusiasts. The Deutschmans selected the name Radio Shack for their store, a phrase that referred to the small wooden building that housed the radio equipment of a vessel. They felt this moniker was suitable for a shop that would provide the requirements of the ship's radio personnel and ham radio enthusiasts. They would continue to publish their first catalog in 1939, even though the company had been established long before that. Today, you can find a website showcasing every Radio Shack catalog. As you look through the catalogs as the years went by, you can see a slow but intentional transition from being a supplier of surplus parts and radio supplier to a consumer electronics retailer. These electronic goods included switches, lamps, wiring post tubes, capacitors, semiconductors, resistors, and other valuable parts. During the 1940s, the company was doing pretty well. The business entered the expanding high-fidelity market in 1947 and launched the first audio showroom in the country, comparing phonograph cartridges, amplifiers, speakers, and turntables. Initially, Radio Shack sold products from other well-known companies, such as Hallicrafters and Hammerland. Over time, they established their brand, creating private label products under trademarked names such as Archer, Patrolman, Realistic, and Optimus, covering many areas. By the early 1960s, Radio Shack had grown to 9 retail locations and was a major supplier of electronic components and goods to do-it-yourselfers worldwide. However, the business soon encountered financial difficulties because of poor operational procedures and a disastrous credit offer to its clients. Chapter 2. Buying Radio Shack. Around this time, a man named Charles Tandy saw the small Radio Shack chain as a fantastic opportunity for rapid growth. He had developed a massive interest in consumer electronics. For the equivalent of $300,000 cash, he acquired the company in 1963, which was very close to bankruptcy. After that, he would set out on a course that would make it one of the most incredible success tales of American retailing. Under his supervision, Radio Shack expanded to over 7,300 locations, with net sales and operating revenues reaching $4.8 billion. In 1975, Tandy Corporation spun off all of its non-electronics operations into Tandycrafts and Tandy brands, becoming solely an electronics company. Intertan Incorporated was formed in 1986 after the company separated its international retail operations. Chapter 3. Pivotal Decades. For Radio Shack, the 1970s were a crucial decade. It was a period of phenomenal expansion for the company, not just in terms of the number of new stores it opened, but also in the variety, caliber, and sophistication of the goods it was selling in its retail locations. The company experienced another instant hit following the phenomenal success of the famous Citizen Band, CB, radios. The TRS-80 microcomputer, first made in mass quantities by Radio Shack, was released in 1977. The TRS-80 was fully wired and tested, unlike do-it-yourself devices that were then accessible. Despite being a primitive machine by today's standards, it was a technological and financial breakthrough that resulted in intense consumer demand. From 1977 to 1981, more than 200,000 TRS-80 Model I computers were sold. During the 1980s, Tandy Corporation expanded its focus on computers and consumer electronics. They acquired companies like Grid Systems Corporation and Victor Technologies Group to expand their presence in the laptop computer and European microcomputer markets. Tandy emphasized becoming a significant player in the manufacturing and retailing of cellular phones and home computers, as well as developing business-oriented technology such as multimedia applications and digital recording. The company also diversified its distribution channels, offering computers through Walmart stores, military bases, college campuses, and American Express cardholders. However, this move to broaden distribution channels led to concerns from Radio Shack dealers, who relied on computer sales for a big portion of their business. Despite posting record earnings in 1989, the company at Radio Shack stores was declining while the sales in Tandy's subsidiaries continued to grow. During this decade, Radio Shack provided the first digital stereo receiver that was reasonably priced, the first mobile/portable phone that customers could install themselves, and the first DIY installable, conclusive satellite TV system. In the early 1990s, Tandy was focused on growing its retail division while its non-retail segment was thriving. The company led the way with its video concept stores and McDuff, which saw an average 14% increase in same-store sales from 1989 to 1990. Tandy then doubled its store count to 380 by 1991. Despite the electronics market, Tandy revitalized its chain by closing its chain and implementing a marketing strategy highlighting the quality of its products and services. In 1991, Tandy announced its plans to develop Computer City, another chain of superstores offering Hewlett-Packard, IBM, Compaq, Apple, and Tandy products. Tandy also launched the home computer system 1000RL to compete with IBM in the home computer market, which was predicted to grow by 10% annually in the 1990s. In 1991, the edge in electronics was opened, and in 1992, Incredible Universe, a consumer electronics mini-mall with a theme park style. However, the company was taking a considerable risk as each store had to generate $100 million annually to be profitable. Tandy sold the manufacturing operations and focused on retailing. In 1993, Radio Shack improved its service, changed its merchandise mix, and emphasized hot areas like cellular phones and direct satellite systems. By the late 1990s, Tandy was forced to close its chains, including Video Concepts, McDuff's, Incredible Universe, and Computer City, due to intense competition from other retailers. Tandy took a $230.3 million charge in 1996 and posted a net loss of $91.6 million. In 1997, Tandy sold a 20% stake in Computer City and focused on revitalizing the Radio Shack chain under Leonard Roberts. Radio Shack formed strategic alliances with critical electronics, telecommunications, and computer players. The mainstay of Radio Shack's operations was revived in the 1990s. Personal communications exploded at the company. By using license-free two-way personal radios, the company created the family radio service. The company was selling more wireless phones than any other retailer. By 1998, Radio Shack's store-within-a-store development had proven successful, becoming the company's top telecommunications seller in the country. In addition to its traditional electronics parts and accessories business, the chain also had a telecommunications division. The company continued to form partnerships and alliances to expand its offerings. In May 1999, Radio Shack joined forces with Thomson Multimedia to create the RCA Entertainment Center. This new concept saw VCRs, RCA brand televisions, DVD players, camcorders, audio products, and digital cameras displayed within Radio Shack stores. Later that same year, in November, Radio Shack allied with Microsoft Corporation to establish the Microsoft Center and Radio Shack. This new addition to the chain offered dial-up internet access and related services and products. Microsoft also invested $100 million in Radio Shack's e-commerce website, radioshack.com, which was launched in October 1999. Chapter 4. The Decline. After 1999, Radio Shack's business started to decline. First, too many stores close to each other caused problems for the company. For instance, there were 25 stores within a 25-mile radius around Sacramento, California, and 7 stores within 5 miles of Brooklawn, New Jersey. With so many stores, profitability decreased, and there were inventory issues due to reduced store traffic. Maintaining so many stores with limited inventory also became expensive. Also, Radio Shack's profitability and sales were affected by the rise of online retailers such as Amazon and eBay, which began to dominate the electronics parts and gadgets market. Consumers found it easier to purchase items online, delivered to their doorstep, and often at a lower cost. This, combined with the need for more inventory at Radio Shack, made it less likely for shoppers to return. In the early 2000s, the company focused on selling cell phones and accessories, which proved profitable but for a specific time. By 2014, cell phones accounted for about 50% of the company's total sales. This focus became problematic after the iPhone was introduced in 2007, as sales channels shifted towards buying phones directly from wireless operators. This resulted in decreased payments to Radio Shack and other resellers, causing a significant decrease in sales and profits. A lack of stability in management could have helped Radio Shack's efforts to turn the company around. The company had 7 different CEOs from 2005 to 2014, with Joseph Magnacca taking the role in 2013. Despite efforts to improve the company through changes in store design, product offerings, and marketing campaigns, the results worsened due to rising costs, constantly changing management decisions and confusing commission structures. This resulted in lower morale among employees and a further decline in profits. Radio Shack had negative earnings since 2012, which required significant capital infusions to remain afloat. In 2013, the company received a $585 million line of credit from GE Capital and a $250 million term loan from Salus. The term loan had the condition that Radio Shack could not close more than 200 stores per year without Salus consent. When Radio Shack's cash burn increased in 2014, the company attempted to close over a quarter of its stores to stop the outflow. However, Salus prevented the closures due to a lack of confidence in the company's business plan, leading to bankruptcy filing. The bankruptcy was accelerated due to the lackluster holiday sales in 2014 to 2015 and the continuing cash burn. Chapter 5. Lessons to learn from the rise and fall of Radio Shack. The rise of Radio Shack from a small parts store to a leading retailer of telecommunications products was an impressive feat. However, the company's inability to adapt to changing market conditions, intense competition, and a series of missteps by management ultimately led to its downfall. The high concentration of stores in certain areas, reliance on brick-and-mortar sales, and overdependence on cell phones and accessories were all factors that contributed to its decline. The constantly changing management and financial missteps added to the company's problems. Despite its ultimate failure, Radio Shack's story is a cautionary tale for businesses. The significance of the company's rise and fall lies in the lessons that can be learned from its mistakes. By understanding the factors that led to its downfall, companies can avoid making similar mistakes and better position themselves for success in the long term. This is especially important in today's rapidly changing business environment, where companies must be able to adapt and evolve to thrive. Overall, the journey of Radio Shack is a reminder of the importance of staying ahead of market changes and making smart business decisions. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. You can also visit our website riseandbust.com for more videos and stories like this.